Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with Ask DC Network number 10. Our first question today comes from KP Gamings, who asks, what is one criticism I have of Tom Ascheam currently? Well, the one criticism or big criticism I have of Tom Ascheam right now is I'm not a fan of the whole restructuring of Cartoon Network. You know, the schedule is still as bad as it was before this restructuring happened. It's pretty much still Teen Titans Go and The Amazing World of Gumball Network. But now, to make matters worse, is that Cartoon Network barely has any airtime anymore. It has a total of 6 hours on the air, with Adult Swim having a total of 10 hours and Cartoonito having a total of 8 hours on the air. It's just kind of a mess right now. It's at the point where I've said this in other videos as well, but Cartoon Network isn't even Cartoon Network anymore. They should just rebrand it to being Adult Swim, because Cartoon Network's the smallest block on Cartoon Network, which is just weird to even verbalize, to even say. But anyways, yeah, that's my biggest criticism right now of Tom Ascheam. Argia10, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, asks, what are your predictions for the 6th series of Ben 10? Well, I think that the 6th series is going to take a very different route than the reboot did. I think that this new series is going to be action oriented, and it's going to be more akin to the older Ben 10 series that we all know and love. I don't know what continuity this is going to be taking place in. I don't think it's going to have anything to do with the reboot. That's first and foremost. I think there is an outside chance that it is back to the classic continuity, and this is the 5th iteration in that timeline. Although, I think what is probably the most likely is that we get some brand new take on Ben 10 that has nothing to do with any of the prior iterations that we've seen. Pinky Pool asks, with the crossover movie Straight Outta Nowhere, Scooby-Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog, will we ever see a Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy and Scooby-Doo crossover movie in the future? I definitely think that there is a possibility for us to see more Cartoon Network properties having crossovers with Scooby-Doo in movies, and I can't think of a better one than Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I feel like those two worlds would mesh perfectly together, being that Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy is obviously more of a supernatural, spooky kind of show. I definitely think it'd be cool to see the Scooby-Doo gang in the world of Grim Adventure of Billy and Mandy. Honor232 asks, do you think we will ever get the unfinished Star Wars The Clone Wars 40 episodes? So if you guys don't know already, there are 40 episodes of Star Wars The Clone Wars that have not been completed, and I truly do believe that one day we will see some of these episodes get completed on Disney+. It's a matter of how exactly they're going to go about doing it. Are they straight up going to make a Clone Wars Season 8 and title it like The Lost Episodes, kind of like what Season 6 was? Or another thing I could see them doing is I could see them releasing them as like short original Disney Plus movies, because if we look at the Clone Wars, each arc is 4 episodes long. It's basically like a little short movie, so I could see them definitely taking these arcs, or the ones that they want to actually release, and making them into short movies on Disney Plus. And the third option is I could also see them just taking these stories and having them take place in other series. Like, for example, when they announced the Bad Batch, there's one arc where Yoda and the Bad Batch were going to help the Wookiees on Kashyyyk. And I could have seen them and kind of thought they were going to do this. I thought they were going to have that arc and adapt it into the Bad Batch. I thought that was going to be the premiere of the show, but instead they didn't go down that route, and we still don't have any more unreleased Clone Wars episodes. But I 100% believe that we will see some of these episodes. Not all 40 of them. The reason why is because some of them just don't make sense anymore to make. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys actually want to see me make a video breaking down all 40 episodes that haven't been released, because it's something that I thought of doing before, but I know that Star Wars content tends not to do as well on my channel, so let me know in the comment section if you guys actually want to see that. But like I said, some of the episodes just don't make sense to actually make anymore, but on the other hand, a lot of them that are remaining are kind of critical to the overall Star Wars story in my opinion. But yeah, definitely let me know if you guys want to see that video one day in the future. Joker Lizer asks, have you ever seen Generator Rex, and do you think it could return on Cartoon Network in the form of reruns, a sequel, or a movie? I have seen Generator Rex. I used to watch it back when it was live on the air, but I never saw the whole series start to finish until a few years ago, and I like the show. I think it's a great show, and as to whether it can return on Cartoon Network, I don't think it's going to, unless if it takes the form of a reboot. The reason I say that is because they obviously had Generator Rex Salazar in the Ben 10 reboot, and I feel like that could maybe be a backdoor pilot for them, seeing, hey, maybe we'll make a Generator Rex reboot on Cartoon Network. But of course, they could always do a movie, they could always do a sequel series at some point, but I feel like, unfortunately, for the time being at least, Generator Rex isn't going to see any more airtime on Cartoon Network. But of course, I could be wrong and anything can happen. Regular Guy 101 asks, what are your thoughts on the Regular Show movie? I really liked the movie. I think it came out, in 2017 or 18, I want to say. So it's been a while since I've seen it, so I can't recall everything that happened in the movie, but I do remember at the time that I really did enjoy it. And it's kind of funny when you think about it, because both Regular Show and Adventure Time were supposed to get movies, or in the case of Adventure Time, it never got its movie. But when you think about it, looking at the two franchises now, obviously Cartoon Network views Adventure Time differently than they view Regular Show, since Adventure Time is getting all these continuations in the form of spin-off series and whatnot, and Regular Show is kind of just sitting on the shelf right now over at Cartoon Network Studios doing nothing. So it's kind of interesting that, they view Adventure Time in a more fond manner, I want to say, but Regular Show is the one between the two that actually did get a movie. But yeah, I really did enjoy the movie, and I wouldn't mind seeing another movie at some point, or maybe some spin-off series with Regular Show. Connie Springer asks, do you think a series on Ben 10,000 would be interesting, and do you think Cartoon Network would actually give the green light to a show like this? First part of your question, I do think a series on Ben 10,000 would be really interesting, but I don't think they should do that right now, because I feel like if we're going in the classic continuity for this series, the jump from Omniverse to Ben 10,000, where he's in his 40s, that's a big jump. I feel like we need a show to fill that gap. Maybe we see like a show with Ben in his 20s, where he's kind of on his way to becoming Ben 10,000, and then we see a series where it's the early days of Ben 10,000, maybe before he had Ken 10, before he got married, maybe he's in his 30s or something like that. Definitely think it would be an interesting series, and I really do hope we get it one day. But do I think that Cartoon Network would actually give the green light to a show like this? I think eventually at some point they're going to have an action-oriented Ben 10. I think, as you've heard me probably say if you watched the beginning of this video, I think the next iteration of Ben 10 is going to be action-oriented. The reason why is because a variety of factors, but the Ben 10 toy line for the reboot, its sales declined towards the end of it. That is why we didn't see new releases of Ben 10 figures for the reboot line. So I think that they might end up taking Ben 10 in a different direction now, maybe going back to it being more action-oriented, especially since we're getting shows like Batman Caped Crusaders, which we know is going to be a more action-oriented iteration of Batman. So I definitely do think that we will get an action-oriented Ben 10. It's just a matter of when will we get a Ben 10,000 series. I don't think that's going to be the 6th iteration of Ben 10. I do think, though, 100% at some point we will see a Ben 10,000 series, because it just makes too much sense for there not to be one at some point down the line. Jeffy asks, aside from Ben 10, what is your favorite Cartoon Network show? So I have two answers for this. If we're talking about any show to ever air on Cartoon Network, then it's Star Wars The Clone Wars, the 2008 series. But if we're talking about Cartoon Network originals, then I've got to go with Regular Show. Tank Slushy asks, do you think Adult Swim should air reruns of Ben 10 Alien Force and Ben 10 Ultimate Alien? Yeah, definitely. Not only Ben 10 Alien Force or Ben 10 Ultimate Alien, Adult Swim should just air reruns of old Cartoon Network originals, because it's Adult Swim. It's meant for an older audience. Some older audiences grew up with these shows, so I'm sure that they would then tune into a block on Adult Swim where they aired old Cartoon Network original series. It would just be a great thing to see, honestly. And plus, which fact, I feel like that would kind of make the whole Cartoon Network only having 6 hours of airtime kind of less of an issue, because then if, let's say, the first 3 or 4 hours of Adult Swim is them airing some older Cartoon Network original series, then it's essentially like Cartoon Network is having, 6 hours of modern current shows airing on the channel, and then 4 hours or 3 hours of classic Cartoon Network series. So in reality, it would be like Cartoon Network has 10 hours of airtime as opposed to in reality where it only has 6. But yeah, definitely think Adult Swim should start airing some reruns of some older Cartoon Network originals. Levin asks, what Cartoon Network show do you want to see come back in the form of a movie? I would not mind seeing a regular show movie that takes place 25 years in the future, at the point at which we saw Mordecai and Rigby and all their kids in the finale. Also, wouldn't mind seeing an Ed, Edd n Eddy movie, a Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends movie, a Codename Kids Next Door movie. Pretty much any old Cartoon Network show I'd be down to see them do a movie of, but if I had to choose one, I'd probably pick regular show just because I really enjoyed that series and honestly would like to see what the park and, the regular show cast of characters is up to 25 years in the future as we saw them in the final scene of the finale. Kathleen Harris asks, since a lot of people in the fandom, being the Ben 10 fandom, speculate that the next series will be a reboot sequel, what would you want from it that wasn't already in the reboot? I would honestly be extraordinarily disappointed if the next iteration of Ben 10 is a sequel to their reboot. I honestly would probably check out the series just to see what it's like, but if it's a sequel to the reboot, it's probably going to be much more comedy oriented, just like the reboot was, and that would just be extremely disappointing to me. I'm not a fan of Ben 10 taking that route. I think it should stick with the action first, everything else second storytelling that we saw with the first 4 series, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be a reboot sequel, but if it is, I'd be extremely disappointed. Dragon Ball Universe asks, I've been watching some of the episodes of the original Ben 10, Alien Force, and Ultimate Alien. Which one do you think was the better series? So I'm going to throw an Omniverse in there as well, and I'll just tell you my thoughts on each one. So I liked all 4 of them, honestly. I really liked all 4 Ben 10 series. My favorites are Alien Force and Ultimate Alien. I'm grouping them together because obviously the tones of those series are very similar. After that, the original Ben 10, and then Omniverse is my least favorite. But I still really like Omniverse, honestly. I really like all 4 series. I feel like Omniverse gets a lot of hate just because obviously the art style is drastically different from the prior iterations of the series, but honestly, when you go to the narrative and the storytelling, it's not bad. It's a good show, but I just feel like a lot of people didn't give it a chance because of its art style. But honestly, like I said, I really like all 4 series. I don't dislike any of them. I prefer my favorites being Alien Force and Ultimate Alien just because of the dark, more serious tone to those series. Fire Types Forever asks, if you were president of Cartoon Network, what would you do to make the channel better? I would focus on making the schedule better. I would want to add more variety to the lineup of shows that Cartoon Network currently has, and the shows that they're airing on the channel. I'd definitely add reruns to it. I'd bring back some older series to have them rerun on the channel. Also, I'd want to have either Cartoonito and Adult Swim be their own channels. I know, if Tom Ash in the position he's in, there's people who are above him at the company, higher up than him at Warner Media. They probably won't let him do that even if he wanted to, but if I could, I try to make Cartoonito and Adult Swim both their own separate channels. If I am not able to do that for, obvious reasons with corporate and whatnot and the financial aspect of it, then I just make it so that Cartoonito has less airtime, Adult Swim has less airtime, and Cartoon Network could have more airtime, so then you could then add more variety to the actual Cartoon Network block on the channel with more, new shows and more older shows airing reruns on the channel. So basically, I would just want to get more variety on the channel. R.W. Lopez asks, what do you think it means that everything Cartoon Network has introduced this year is also being shared with the other Warner Media branches? What he's referring to is that basically every single show that Cartoon Network has announced is being shared between Cartoon Network and HBO Max. In addition to, he mentions here, Cartoonito and Scoobtober are shared with HBO Max, and almost every movie seen on Acme Night is also being seen on TBS and TNT. I personally don't have a problem with this, and the reason why I say that is because I actually think this is one of the great things Tom Asching has done, because the way the network was going, the way the channel was going, everything was heading to HBO Max. Cartoon Network is basically going to be just an empty shell with just Amazing World of Gumball, Teen Titans Go, pretty much it, that's it. Everything else was going to head to HBO Max. Then Tom Asching came in, and instead of taking the content away from Cartoon Network like they were doing, he then had it so that it's all being shared between HBO Max and Cartoon Network. Which I don't have a problem with that, because then what you're creating is you're basically allowing the viewer to watch it however they want to watch it. If you're someone who's like me and still has cable, you can watch it on Cartoon Network, and I'll watch the new Total Drama on Cartoon Network. I'll watch the Amazing World of Gumball movie on Cartoon Network. But if you're someone who's gotten rid of cable, who has fully dived into the streaming landscape, you could watch those shows on HBO Max and you're getting the same content, which I think is great. Because in reality, when you think about it, do they really care for watching the Amazing World of Gumball movie on HBO Max or Cartoon Network? No, they probably don't. They just want us to be watching it in general. They're either going to make money from us watching it on HBO Max or make money from us watching it on Cartoon Network. Either way, they're making money from it, so they really don't care how we're watching it. I just think it's great that, you're giving the viewer the option to, hey, do you want to watch it on streaming or no, you want to watch it on Cartoon Network? It's up to you. The way it was going before, if you guys remember, Close Enough was pulled from TBS, put on HBO Max. They pulled Tig and Seeks and one other Cartoon Network show, I think it was The Fungies. They pulled those from Cartoon Network, put them on HBO Max. Tom Asching comes in, and now don't quote me on this, but I believe The Fungies is on Cartoon Network as well as being on HBO Max, and I'm not sure about Tig and Seeks, but what I'm trying to get at is now Tom Asching comes in and now he's sharing the content between both the HBO Max platform and the Cartoon Network channel, which I think is great because, like I said, you can watch it however you want. It's going to be on HBO Max for those who like streaming and on Cartoon Network for those who rather watch it on cable. Trivial asks, do you think Cartoon Network would make a game just like Nickelodeon All-Stars, which would include all characters from classic shows to new ones and from Boomerang and from Adult Swim? So yeah, Cartoon Network's technically already made a game like this in Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion, but will they make another game like this? And that's the question. It all depends honestly on how well Nickelodeon's All-Stars does, and from what I've seen, I haven't played it, I've considered buying it, but from what I've seen, it seems like there's a lot of positive reception around the game. I've heard people talking about it all over the place. I've seen, a lot of friends of mine have bought the game, so if it's as successful as it seems like it is right now, Cartoon Network might take a look at that and be like, hey, we can do that too, and we can sell it for $50 as well and make a lot of money off this game. So it all really depends on how successful this game is in Nickelodeon All-Stars. If it's really successful, then I'm sure Cartoon Network's going to take a look at that and say, hey, yeah, we did something very similar to that like 10 years ago. Why don't we do that again, but on modern consoles? And yeah, we'll try to see if it sells as well as Nickelodeon All-Stars did. Zeke or something asks, what is your least favorite Cartoon Network show? So there's some shows throughout the years that I really haven't liked, including Secret Mountain Fort Awesome. Uncle Grandpa's another one that I really did not like. Problem Solvers, I didn't like The Annoying Orange at all. I forgot what the other one was. The other one called Incredible Crew. I did not like that show either, but that's just a few that come off the top of my head. I'm sure there are others that I didn't like, but those are the ones that immediately come to mind. And our last question from today comes from Ultimate Break 82, who asks, have you ever seen Ninjago? Yes, I have. I remember when Ninjago first came out. I believe it was a movie at first and then it became a series. Don't quote me on that though. But I remember I watched it, I liked it, and I would watch Ninjago from time to time when it was on Cartoon Network. I never really, sat down and watched the entirety of it. I kind of just watched episodes here and there, but it seemed like a quality show. I remember really enjoying what I watched, but I never actually sat down and watched the entire story from start to finish. But one thing I am surprised on, and the quick note I'll add on at the end, is I'm really surprised that Ninjago is still on today. Like, I thought it ended at some point, but it turns out it's still on. It's just that, Cartoon Network never airs reruns of the shows, and it's only on pretty much once a year when the new season comes out. But that's amazing to me that Ninjago is still on all these years later, even if it is on, maybe like 10 episodes a year and that's it. But I will say as well that I've noticed that over the years, Lego has tried to kind of create the new Ninjago, which they haven't been able to. Like, I remember there was Nexo Knights and Legends of Chima, I believe, was another one, and they've never been able to create the next Ninjago, and I don't think, you can replicate Ninjago because it's been so successful for them, and the series as well has been successful on Cartoon Network. So yeah. Anyways, that's it for Ask DC Network number 10. Thank you for all your great questions, and I'll see you guys next time.